A non-nuclear war so that a nuclear one doesn't break out. At the end of last week, Israel launched a massive strike against Iran. According to analysts, they haven't seen anything like this since the 1980s. The main reason for such a raid was the fight against Iran's nuclear program. Tel Aviv, after careful consideration, decided not to wait for the missile, which was almost ready, and carried out a strike first.
Israel could destroy Iran's economy right now if it wanted to, but for now it isn't doing that. It's carrying out what you might call preemptive strikes.
Iran didn't want to turn the other cheek and responded with a strike of its own. First with drones, ballistic missiles, and recently even with hypersonic weapons.
There were strikes and those who were in shelters were killed. This is an important point.
But how much longer will the war between these two irreconcilable enemies last? We decided to analyze how comparable the military potential of these countries is, which targets have been attacked and which are still awaiting their fate. And most importantly, how close has Iran come to developing nuclear weapons? And can Israel stop this program? Find out all about this right now in the new episode of Arsenal. This Friday, the 13th, will be remembered in Iran for a long time. It all started around 3 o'clock in the morning. Dozens of strikes on nuclear and military facilities. The stated goal was to strike Iran's nuclear infrastructure, ballistic missile production plants, and military capabilities. After all, Israeli intelligence reported that Iran had come dangerously close to producing nuclear weapons and had enough enriched uranium to manufacture several bombs within a matter of days.
The first strike destroyed the air defense systems, mainly the radars that could have somehow helped the Iranians repel this raid, and a whole series of eliminations was carried out. In particular, the commander of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps and the chief of staff of the Iranian army were killed. They were eliminated, along with about 10 nuclear scientists, basically those who were actually in charge of this nuclear project. Reports mention dozens of people eliminated.
But after taking out the leadership of the nuclear program and significantly damaging the facilities working on it, Israel understood that Tehran would want to retaliate. That's why in this particular case, the next salvo of missiles specifically targeted the military, warehouses and logistics.
After that, the strikes were directed at military facilities and nuclear sites at the bases of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, the Iranian army and the navy. In Bandar Abbas, an Iranian navy base was destroyed. The Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps kept their ships there. The Iranian Air Force tried to repel the raid, but all they really did was get their planes into the air. I don't really understand how they tried to fight it off, considering their aircraft fleet is basically a museum collection from the 1980s. Afterwards, they reported heavy losses. Apparently, it can be said that the Iranian Air Force has ceased to exist.
Indeed, as the events of the following day showed, Iran had effectively opened its skies to the enemy. It turned out to be simply impossible to repel air attacks with air defense systems or to intercept missiles using aircraft, which led to one nuclear facility being destroyed while the second remains under regular strikes.
But these are mainly Fordo and Natanz, where the enrichment plants are located, where the centrifuges are, and where uranium enrichment takes place. The Natanz facility appears to have been destroyed. This was the heart of the Ahmad project, the heart of Iran's nuclear weapons development program. Overall, it seems the strikes have achieved their objective. The strikes are ongoing.
However, Israel did not go unanswered for its actions. First came hundreds of drones, and then dozens of missiles. Tehran launched the largest salvo it could organize toward Tel Aviv.
Overall, more or less, the Israeli missile defense system, reinforced by batteries of the American THAAD system, demonstrated very high effectiveness, and Israel's air and missile defense showed a high interception rate. There were impacts, and those who were not in shelters were killed. This is an important point.
By the way, that very TAD apparently set a new record the other day by intercepting an Iranian ballistic missile outside the atmosphere, thereby demonstrating that neither Russia with its Oreshnik nor Iran has any weapon of retaliation, and that the United States will be able to shoot down any, even the most advanced weapons of potential adversaries. However, Israel believes the Khamenei regime still has many missiles left. Currently, according to the IDF, Tehran possesses about 2,000 ballistic missiles, and in 2 years, that number could quadruple. Such intelligence forecasts, among other things, served as an additional argument for launching the operation.
There's an important point about the 2,000 missiles. Iran cannot launch 2,000 missiles, not even in waves. As mentioned, Israeli Air Force air superiority means launchers are destroyed once detected, so they can't launch missiles in numbers. It's not even certain they have that many missiles in stock. Many of their missiles are liquid fueled, so they need fueling before launch, which is noticeable.
According to experts, Iran's allies also won't be able to help in a confrontation with Israel. After all, the entire so-called coalition around Iran's spiritual leader is currently in deep decline and is incapable of providing real military support.
Iran's allies or proxies are currently much weaker, especially Hezbollah, which Iran had been preparing for many decades precisely for such a scenario. If Israel strikes Iran's nuclear facilities, Hezbollah was supposed to immediately use its entire vast rocket arsenal as well as carry out certain ground operations. But today's Hezbollah is nothing like what it was before October 7, 2023. Hamas, moreover, has already been driven back to a much more primitive state, so to speak. That leaves the Houthis, but they are unlikely to do anything more than what they are already doing, launching a missile every day or two, plus the occasional drone here and there.
But Israel's allies, on the contrary, are thriving. Not only are the US supplying weapons, missiles, and air defense systems, but they are also leaving their troops in place ready to provide assistance. Realizing their helplessness if the war with Israel drags on, Iran is already prepared to take extreme measures.
Iran is threatening to block the Strait of Hormuz. This is a very narrow point in the Persian Gulf through which oil tankers pass, and if they block it, it would mean the collapse of global oil trade. It would almost automatically draw the United States into the war, with extremely dire consequences for Iran.
That's why this option is also not suitable for Iran, especially considering the simple fact that right now they are unable to repel IDF attacks.
Israel could destroy the Iranian economy if it wanted to, but it hasn't. They're carrying out preemptive strikes. A strike was carried out on the port of Bushehr near nuclear facilities. There are, in particular, gas extraction platforms there, and in Tabriz there's an oil refinery. In addition, there's also a hunt going on for mobile launchers, ballistic missile depots, targets belonging to the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, and so on.
The day before, as it became known, Israel also destroyed an Iranian factory producing shaheds in the city of Isfahan. For that, I would like to express special thanks on behalf of Ukrainians, since some of the components from there were indeed being supplied to Russia. A facility that manufactures almost all radar systems in Iran was also hit. So now Tehran not only can't shoot down missiles, but also doesn't know when or from where to expect an attack. The result was not long in coming. Iran announced that it is ready to sign an agreement renouncing nuclear weapons. This was reported the day before by the state agency IRNA. However, for now, these are just words. Israel has stated that the operation against Iran will only stop after real action from the government. Did you like this video? Then don't forget to give it a like and be sure to subscribe to our Arsenal channel.